There are giants among us. They are the men and women building our Navy's next generation submarines. They are giants in what they do because they work in a place where they can grow, where they can learn the skills to build careers as powerful as the beasts they forge. We build giants because it takes one to build one.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Trek on Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Aaron. I'm your host today. As always, I'm not the most important person on the call today. Joined me today is retired U.S. Navy Captain Dave. I'm going to try to get your last name right. Duffier?
Correct.
Dave Duffier is an Eagle Scout. So right there, as you can see, Dave is one of us. Dave is with us today because he is part of a program that Scouting America very, very proud to partner with to find the next generation of shipbuilders, which is kind of a vague, kind of a broad term. When we say shipbuilders, we're going to talk about all this, but it's a partnership that we are thrilled to be entering into with the Maritime Industrial Base. They are sponsoring 4 merit badges. These are merit badges that Scouting America already offers that is just happens to be sort of a perfect fit for this program. Dave, I'm going to try to give everybody just sort of the Cliff Notes version of what we're going to be talking about here over the next 28 minutes or so. But basically, the U.S. Navy needs shipbuilders. They need people who can build submarines. To their credit, foresight, they've recognized the need to improve the current fleet, to expand a little bit, and that takes, quite frankly, manpower. 250,000 people they're going to look to hire over the next several years. Scouting America is doing its part to help provide those workers. Dave, thanks so much for joining us today. As we get started today, you're an Eagle Scout, Dave. When did you earn your Eagle Scout rank, and where are you from?
Well, right now I live in Chesapeake, Virginia, but I'm an Air Force brat, so I've been all over the world. And then I joined the Navy, so I went all over the world again. So
spent much of his life all over the world. I think you said you're in Orlando at a conference right now.
Yeah, I'm at a convention right now, but I am a Washington Redskins fan, and will be forever. So
okay,
I guess
all right.
Washington, D.C. is sort of home.
Okay, all right, coming up right away. Good.
I got my Eagle Scout back in 1969. In the height of the Vietnam War, and I knew that I wanted to be. I knew I wanted to be a sailor. My dad had a cabin cruiser, and he took us out on the Chesapeake Bay all the time, and I loved the sea. And of course, we could go by Annapolis, so I loved Annapolis. Even though he was a West Point grad, I ended up becoming a Naval Academy graduate. And I knew I wanted to go to the Naval Academy. I knew I wanted to serve. The Vietnam War was not the most popular war, but they definitely wanted, they needed people to either volunteer or be drafted. And I opted to volunteer and never looked back on that decision. I had 30 great years in the submarine force. And then I went right into the defense industry, still helping the Naval Sea Systems Command by trying to help employers with the talent pipeline program.
That is awesome. We've got quite a few folks watching, including the official Montana Council Scouting America homepage. They say thank you for your service to America. I agree. Blake says once an Eagle, always an Eagle. Yes. What's up? Wolfgang is watching us from Germany. Hi, Wendy. Good to see you. Jennifer, good to see you from Georgia. Yeah, Dave and I maybe have slight different definitions of the word retirement. Dave is retired from the U.S. Navy. He's a busy man, though, folks. He is now devoting, and I'm going to let him tell you about this in just a second. He's devoting much of his time to, I think, finding that next or building that next generation of workforce. The Navy has recognized a need for workers, and we're going to talk about that opportunity thanks to our partnership with Build Submarines and with the Maritime Industrial Base. Again, those 4 merit badges that we're partnering with them on: electricity, engineering, welding, and robotics. Dave, Scouts BSA, Scouting America has always been about hoping to help young people maybe discover a hobby. Maybe that hobby turns into a career. Maybe it becomes a lifetime of service or whatever. Those 4 merit badges or 4 badges recognized both by us and by our friends at Build Submarines as a good sort of entry-level gateway. We're here to encourage Scouts, even if you don't really think this is the kind of career you might be interested in, you know what? Give these merit badges a shot. I mean, the worst case scenario, you get a merit badge out of the situation. That's the whole point of the whole thing. What can you tell us, Dave, though, about buildsubmarines.com? Tell us about that movement, that initiative. And when we say maritime industrial base, what does that mean? What's the need here?
Well, the buildsubmarines.com is an initiative developed by the maritime, and well, back then in the beginning it was a submarine industrial base that is now transformed into the maritime industrial base. This is a actual organized group of people at Naval Sea Systems Command and other locations to try to help initiate and develop these programs that buildsubmarines.com is funding. Talent Pipeline program is just one of over a dozen of these initiatives. And so as the maritime industrial base continues to expand its initiatives and expand the Talent Pipeline program, we have a much better chance of being able to obtain these the talent that we're looking for to actually build ships, repair ships, and it's not just submarines. It's expanded to all naval vessels and any vessel that supports the Navy, including the weapons systems, et cetera. So that's a little bit about buildsubmarines.com. You saw the commercial. You see it on TV. They sponsor NASCAR. They sponsor Major League Baseball teams. They sponsor a huge training school in Danville, Virginia, that's pumping out welders and machinists and quality inspectors, et cetera. And these are just several of the programs designed to help get the industrial base where it needs to be.
Yeah, if I had to maybe sort of distill the message of our show down to maybe a couple of items, what I would say is, if you're the parent or a scout leader of a younger scout, Cub Scout, Scouts BSA member, check out those 4 merit badges: electricity, engineering, welding, and robotics. That is a great way to sort of learn, is this maybe a career for you? If you're the parent or the scout leader of an older scout, I'm thinking maybe sophomore, junior in high school, or maybe even on up, maybe you're thinking about going to college. Maybe you're thinking about what's next, whether you've earned these merit badges or not. I think that our message, Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, is, hey, Dave and I grew up in a time where both he and I were told, hey, if you don't go to college, you're not going to have any opportunities. You have to go to college to be something. And I think the message now is, maybe, Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, there are other opportunities. Can you talk about that a little bit and your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, statistically, 40% of all college kids that start college will graduate, maybe a little bit less. So that other 60% has spent a lot of money and a lot of time finding out that really wasn't for them. And then high school students today have several opportunities to develop, their skills, manual trade skills that are in desperate need, that get you off to a great start in life. I can't tell you how many young machinists and welders I've talked to who decided, hey, I'm going to spend a few dollars to go to a welding trade school, get some experience, start at a company, build on my experience. And by the time they've had 4 or 5 years experience in the welding business, they're making more money than a college grad makes when he gets out of college. And so for the same amount of time, they're actually doing a lot better. And they have a skill now. They can always fall back on that skill. But most companies are willing to take these tradesmen and in their spare time, pay for their college education so that they can get a college degree later on. So as a skilled tradesman with a background in leadership, such as scouting offers, you are a huge help and a viable commodity for an employer who is desperately looking for skilled tradesmen who have leadership experience, which is a hard combination to find.
Right.
And
yeah. I'm a guy who did go to college. I'm not sure how much I learned, but one thing I did learn about was this thing called supply and demand. And what we know is there is a huge, huge demand for these type of workers, and not necessarily the biggest supply. Now is a great time to jump onto this opportunity. So Dave, let's talk about you real quick.
Yeah.
You were the captain of a submarine. Did you tell me two different ships? Is that right?
Yeah, I had command of I had command of the USS Helena. So a shout out to the Montana Council.
There you go.
I have a key to the city of Helena. So
Very cool.
one
Very
of the
cool.
perks of being a commanding officer of a ship named after the
Well
state.
deserved. Absolutely.
But
Yeah.
but after the city, I was commanding officer of that. It was a 688 fast attack Tomahawk missile shooting platform stationed in Pearl Harbor. And then later, I went to command a submarine tender in La Maddalena, Italy, which is a big submarine, a 600-foot submarine repair ship that actually repairs submarines when they pull alongside and they're forward deployed. They have a repair ship that can help them with minor maintenance and some bigger repairs.
Okay.
So yeah, that was the pinnacle of my career. I did a lot of other jobs in the Navy, but operating on submarines was definitely one of the things I fully enjoyed when I was in there.
Very, very cool. Tamara says, thank you for your service. I agree. Thank you, Tamara. Dave, I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about your time in scouting. As an Eagle Scout, you went through that whole process. Did that help you prepare at all to be a leader in the Navy?
Oh, absolutely. I don't know many scouts unless they just don't want to be leaders. Can't help but become a leader after a few years in scouting. It's a slow start. You know, they come in at 11 years old and they really don't know what leadership's all about. But eventually they find out that the leaders get all the perks. The leaders don't have to cook. The leaders don't have to set up tents. The leaders don't have to clean up after the meals. The leaders they just sit around and eat the food and enjoy the spare time. And so the young scout quickly figures out, hey, if I'm a leader, I get the perks. But that's not the only reason they become leaders. They're asked to build on each of the scouting skills as they go through scouting, and they suddenly find themselves the expert. They're the best fire starter.
Yeah.
Or they're the best cook, or they're the best person who sets up a cool campsite. And before long, they are training other scouts on how to do that. And that's the first step to leadership. Right, gathering a group of scouts, putting them in a room, talking to them about a skill, and then before you know it, they feel comfortable in being able to manage that kind of activity. I think scouting is one of the best organizations for developing young men and women into adult leaders. Both of my sons were in Scout. One was an Eagle, one didn't make an Eagle. One went on to the Navy and did phenomenally well in the Navy as an F-18 pilot, and the other one today is off working in a great company, and he will quickly develop into a manager here before very long. So I can't say enough about what scouting has done for young kids, and obviously you look at me, I didn't know that I wanted to be an Eagle when I first joined, but after a few years, I said, "Why not? Let's get it done." But joining the Navy and becoming a Naval Academy. And Naval Academy is also a super organization for developing leaders in the Navy, and so the combination of those two really helped. But I would say, a young man coming out or woman coming out of scouting today as an Eagle Scout, even as a Life Scout. If they didn't make Eagle, they've certainly had the skills to use to go to a company as a young tradesman with a few, maybe 6 months or 12 months of working at a trade school and learning those trades. I can't help but think, and not having been a recipient of the 4 merit badges that are being offered, there were a lot of other merit badges that I got. You have to get 21 to be an Eagle. I think there's 13 or 14 required merit badges, but then there's a whole bunch that you can get that are obviously elective merit badges. Right. And these 4 would be great. I mean, you'd learn a little bit about welding, a little bit about machining. And those are the two main skills today that companies are begging for. and willing to pay relatively good salaries to get it.
Right. Right. Yeah. And that's why my advice would be, if you're a parent of a Scouts BSA member, if your scout doesn't think they're interested in those merit badges, you know what? Just give it a shot. That's the whole purpose of the merit badge program. Give these things a shot. Immerse yourself in it for, a few weeks, few months, however long it takes to earn the badge. You never know. You just never know what might click. Shout out to Cody, who says they made Eagle Scout in Bristol, Connecticut, way back in 2013, Dave, way long time ago. Cody says his dad was especially awesome cook for his troop, especially when it came to Dutch oven cooking. Very, very cool. Rusty, good to see you. Wolfgang says that his company is looking for skilled workers right now. Yeah, so that's definitely a demand. Thank you for sharing that, Wolfgang. Dave, the reason why he has his uniform is because he is actually currently volunteering as an Eagle Scout mentor, and we're going to get his advice on what he tells current scouts, life scouts, probably most of them, I bet, right, who are thinking about earning the rank of Eagle. We're going to get to that a little bit later, but Dave, let's talk some more about Build Submarines. What prompted you to get involved with them? How did that come about, and why have you decided to take this on in your quote unquote retired time?
It's not too difficult a question to answer. The Talent Pipeline Program, or what we call TPP, we already said it's just one of over a dozen of the initiatives that the Build Submarines is working on. And in 2021, I was working at Fairlead, which is a critical defense contractor. Critical meaning critical to the two major shipyards, Newport News and Electric Boat. Shipyards are actually the ones building submarines today. And I was the director of quality and continuous improvement. And my boss, Fred Pasquin, the president, asked me to help supervise the Talent Pipeline Program that we had just started at Fairlead in 2021, and to work very closely with the Training Modernization Group. That's the company that's actually executing the Talent Pipeline Program.
Okay.
And we were tasked to execute all of the recommended best practice model tools that TPP offers every company that's using the program today. So I had to work with human resources and hiring managers and supervisors, and we did a lot of training on management, and we did a lot of training on making leaders better leaders. And after 2 years, we successfully accomplished all the tools. In 2024, I said, I think I like this a little bit more. And so I joined TMG full time, and I've been working with them since then. I'm a network coach, which means I have about 20 companies out in San Diego that I work with those companies. And I help them on their journey as part of the Talent Pipeline Program to improve their talent acquisition and retention programs. Specifically, we measure the retention improvements. Okay. And so that's how I got in it, and I love it. And I will be happy to share why I love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what are the best ways, as your experience showed in the Navy Talent Pipeline Program, what's the best avenue to bring in new recruits? Where do you go? How does that work best for you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously establishing an interest in manual trades as early as possible in a young person's life is really step one. And so elementary school is not too early. There are high school students who definitely know they don't want to go to college or they can't afford college. And there's definitely students who didn't finish college. These are all excellent sources for new recruits. I think that buildsubmarines.com is focusing pretty hard on those age groups and those type of individuals in an effort to convince them, hey, now is a good time to consider a manual trade and get started in a program that has huge opportunities for growth and development when they get started. Mm-hmm. So I hope that answers that question.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dave, by the way, I don't know if we mentioned this, Dave is a former Scoutmaster, not currently serving as Scoutmaster, but you did serve as Scoutmaster before. I wonder, Dave, if you have any thoughts on how Scoutmasters can promote opportunities that you find on the Build Submarines website and things like that. Is there anything in there you think that Scoutmasters could benefit from checking out?
Yeah, I mean, scoutmasters and anybody on the troop committee who has continuous interaction with the scouts are all good sources for being able to talk about this. Uh, they they have to know a little bit about what buildsubmarines.com is, and they have to know a little bit about what these trades are. So that if somebody says, "Well, what's a welder?" they have to know that that's a person that puts metal together. Um, and they have to be able to sound convincing that, because kids are smart, and it's hard to tell a kid, hey, you don't necessarily need to go to college, particularly if the parents are telling them something different. So these leaders do have an influence on scouts, in some cases almost equal to a parent, because of their engagement with the scouts, taking them out on trips, going camping with them. They have a big influence on these young kids, and I would encourage them, to, if they thought that this was a worthwhile opportunity for their young men, then get them started in these 4 merit badges.
Right.
Encourage every. Hey, we got 4 new merit badges, guys. Let's get them done. Now, the key will be, finding merit badge counselors and finding, the locations where they can actually do the work.
Right.
But if there's a program nearby, a troop that can support this, then I would say, yeah, get started. So all leaders, I think, have the ability to influence young scouts.
Yeah, that's awesome. Jennifer in the comments says her 2019 Eagle Scout son is now an electrical engineer designing building parts for submarines. Very, very cool, Jennifer. He earned 3 out of those 4 badges. So yeah, what I love about, the merit badge program in general is that, like we said, it's designed to give kids a little taste, a little snippet of careers, hobbies, activities, because you never know what's going to catch on. And earning these 4 merit badges, it's not impossible to earn a merit badge. I'm not saying it doesn't take a little bit of work. Yeah, you got to do a little bit of work, but we're not asking them to walk on water, right? We're not asking you to choose a career. Just try the merit badge, see how it goes. And you never know. Hey, maybe you're going to say it's not for me. I'm going to go become a theater major or something like that. And that's totally fine. Or maybe something will click that you didn't know was there. Maybe something will resonate. It's the whole purpose of the gosh darn merit badge program in general. So what a great thing to take advantage of. Again, we're visiting with retired U.S. Navy Captain Dave Duffier, Eagle Scout, current Eagle Scout mentor, who is involved with Build Submarines and their attempt to recruit the necessary skilled laborers. 250,000. That seems like a lot, Dave. Over the next, is that maybe, I can't remember what the time span we're talking about there, but can you maybe let us know why 250,000?
Well, we're behind. There's 2 platforms that we're trying to build over the next 20 years. One is the Columbia-class strategic missile sub, and the other is the Virginia-class fast attack submarine. And in addition to that, we still have a requirement to do ship repair and maintenance to keep our current submarines at sea. And so if you look at our aging Trident submarines, strategic missile submarines, are going to go out of commission here in the next few years. And we are on a fast pace to get Columbia to come in 1 per year behind them. And we're behind. We're behind because of manual labor, the skilled labor. You can look at the history of shipbuilding in the United States, and you'll see that post-Cold War, we had a lull, and we stopped building submarines at the pace we were building them before. And that talent goes away.
Yep.
And when you come down to 2 shipyards building submarines, as opposed to the over dozen shipyards we had in World War II, it takes a long time to build up that workforce. And so every year that we don't make our numbers, then that's that many more that we need to hire to continue with the program. And so buildsubmarines.com is desperately trying to get more and more people into this industry. And the guys that are in the industry they're starting to understand the importance of retaining good talent.
Well, buildsubmarines.com is your place to go. You can go to buildsubmarines.com/scouts for information on those 4 merit badges. but the whole Build Submarines platform, pretty impressive. It also offers resources for training programs, internships, entry-level positions based on your zip code. Just punch in your zip code. It's like finding a scout troop near you. Punch in your zip code, you find an internship or training program near you, many of which don't cost any money at all. Again, it's a basic supply and demand issue. There is a huge demand for these jobs. The supply is relatively lower than what we want it to be, right, Dave? So now's your opportunity. Jump in there and take advantage of it. It starts with those 4 merit badges, but there's also a lot more to it than just that. Can you talk about that, Dave, a little bit? What other experience would you suggest that young people need outside of these 4 merit badges if they're interested in the Build Submarines program or going into a career like this?
Yeah, I mean, experience isn't necessarily a detailed experience isn't necessarily the only way to get into a company. If you have 6 months of a trade school, let's just say you went to a trade school and they have them around. There's welding schools, there's machinist schools in most communities. That's usually enough to, if you like the company and you like their culture, that's a great stepping stone to get in. So you don't have, obviously some companies are not going to be willing to train you day one on how to strike an arc. They will expect you to have had a little bit of experience in welding, but it doesn't take that much. Unfortunately, a lot of the manual trade that we used to skills that we used to train in high school, like wood shop, mechanic, automobile mechanics and all that stuff, has all gone away.
Yep.
Hopefully we can get this back. And I know that high schools are now looking at that. The buildsubmarines.com is actually, and Blue Forge Alliance is actually working with high schools to see if we can get, funding from the state or grants to actually stand up some of these trade skills in high school so that kids will actually get that experience.
Right.
If you're a cultural fit and you have a little bit of experience, that's what we're telling the companies to hire those guys, hire them today. You can train for skill.
Yeah.
You can't train for cultural fit. They have to be a cultural fit, but that's what we promote. And the companies that are doing that are seeing the value of doing just that. And plus the young person coming out of high school is a little bit more moldable than that 52-year-old welder who doesn't, you can't teach that old dog.
Well, one place where you can go to learn to be a good team player is Scouts, by the way. So definitely, keep that in mind. Coming out of that program, you will learn leadership skills. As Dave said earlier, you will learn how to work well alongside teammates. We just have a few more minutes left with Dave here. I want to point the folks to another second resource. It's called Accelerated Training in Defense Manufacturing, ATDME. That's a national training center in Danville, Virginia, not too far from your home, I think, right, Dave? Right. It's designed to fast track kids into their career. You can attend tuition-free courses, 600 hours of instruction in about 4 months. Again, these are all viable career options beyond the typical 4-year college track. A great opportunity for young people, young men and women who maybe aren't interested in going into a huge amount of debt to pay for college, who tuition-free classes. I mean, you can't beat that. You learn skills that are needed in the workplace. Not to mention the fact that you are providing a valuable service to our country, helping build and maintain our nuclear fleet of submarines, the most advanced fleet in the world, I think, Dave. But it requires workers. They don't just make themselves, right? It requires workers to maintain and build them. I've taken like a tour of a submarine, Dave. I've never been on one, like while it is operating. Before we let you go, can you give us a little feel of what's it like to be in a submarine that's underwater doing cool stuff?
It's one of the coolest jobs in the world. You go underwater and nobody knows where you are. And so you can look at things and listen to things and you're out there in the ocean and no one knows that you're down there doing those kind of activities. The platform has so much capability. I mean, between anti-submarine warfare, anti-surface ship warfare, mine warfare, strategic missile warfare, cruise missile warfare, not to mention, intelligence and surveillance. It's just a platform that every component commander around the world today is asking for more and more and more because of its capability and its covert operations. It is hard to find a submarine.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, it was really neat when an anti-aircraft, ASW aircraft was trying to find me, and then I could go down deep and find a thermal layer that would not allow his sonar to penetrate, and he couldn't find me. And and afterwards we'd have a beer, and I'd say, it's tough finding subs.
Right.
But the environment's so much different today. I love these old diesel guys. I don't know how they did it. No air conditioning, no baths, no showers, no nothing. They'd go out there for 3-4 weeks at a time.
Yeah.
With in very hot conditions with diesel engines. I don't know how they did it. Today's submarines, it's like almost, I wouldn't call it a hotel.
Right.
Like great food,
Country club.
air conditioning. Take a couple of showers a day. The sleeping accommodations aren't bad, and you get into a work routine. It's people say, how can you be submerged for so long? You sort of lose track of time because you're not outside. And you do your job and you stand watch and you do some paperwork and you watch a movie and you eat a few meals and go to bed. It's pretty much like what we do, on the surface. So
right.
I would encourage any young kid looking to come in the Navy to give submarines a try. But I tell you, we're working on trying to increase the industrial capacity of the United States. And the more we work with these companies to make them understand that importance, they become a better company. They make more money, their capacity grows, and they're doing exactly what the industrial base is asking them to do.
Yeah. Awesome. Very, very cool. I mentioned earlier that Dave is an Eagle Scout mentor. That's his current volunteerism for Scouts. He mentors young men and women who are interested in earning the rank of Eagle. I'm just guessing, Dave, 13, 14 years old, most of them, maybe a little bit older than that even?
Actually, most of them I get are right at 16, 17, coming up on their 18th birthday.
So they're a little bit close. Okay,
they're desperate to get it done,
Yeah, I should have known that. That's
I wish I had the 14-year-old, but their 18th birthday is the cutoff for having had completed their border review. So
that makes sense.
So,
well, share with us what kind of advice you share with them. Like what's your message?
Well, we have to complete the requirements, and a lot of it is they just need somebody to call them up once a week and say, "How you coming?" I'll help them develop a plan, to finish their merit badges. And there's some tough merit badges at the tail end.
Yep.
We want them to work on those, get those done. I'm their merit badge counselor for 3 of them, and so that helps. And I just bring them over to the house. We'll have a cup of coffee. We'll talk about finances or whatever merit badge we're working on. And they just have a coach. That's all my job is, make them know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. We will get through this. We will finish it. And that's pretty much all the encouragement they need.
Awesome. Very, very cool. Dave, this has been a really fun, exciting conversation. Thanks for having us on today. Again, the website, it's easy to remember, Build Submarines. BuildSubmarines.com is the website /scouts. There's 4 merit badges that we are proud to promote: electricity, engineering, welding, and robotics. Those were chosen because those are very representative of the type of skills that the maritime industrial base is looking for. They are eager to pay people money to do jobs that involve these kind of skills. A great career opportunity for young folks, probably recent high school graduates who maybe have decided they're not going to go to a 4-year school, or at least not yet. This is a way to get in, get some training. They're so excited to have you. They will train you and pay you to do these jobs. Very rewarding, very fulfilling jobs. And I would say also very important jobs, service to our country. I don't think that's an exaggeration, right, Dave? These folks will be serving our country, our U.S. Navy fleet, not just submarines, I think you said, right, but all water vessels. Dave, this has been great. Any final thoughts before we let you go today?
Building a submarine is a lot cooler than working at Chick-fil-A. If you had an opportunity, when you can tell your kids or your grandkids that you were responsible for the national security of the United States, you weren't building cell phones and you weren't flipping burgers, you actually had a pretty cool job. I think that speaks for itself. And I encourage young kids today to give these trades, these manual trades, a hard look. And if you're in scouting, obviously get all these 4 merit badges. You may find yourself as a welder in a couple of years making a lot of money.
Yeah, absolutely. buildsubmarines.com/scouts is the website, or you can just go to buildsubmarines.com where you can read about training resources, internships, entry-level positions. You can punch in your zip code, find opportunities near you. This website, this platform exists to find jobs for young people in this industry because they have money and they want to pay people to do the jobs. So it's a great matchup. The scouting program in general is a great way to prepare young people for these careers, and specifically these 4 merit badges. I'm sure you all have them memorized by now: electricity, engineering, welding, and robotics. Those are the 4 we've been talking about today. BuildSubmarines.com is your source. Thank you so much for your time again, Dave. It's always good to see you.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Thanks to all you for watching at home. We appreciate it. Go to buildsubmarines.com. Check it out. We'll see you next time. Bye, everybody. See you, Dave. Thank you, sir.
You bet.